Good afternoon, this is Media Center Ukraine Odesa, and we continue our work today. You can watch us online, both on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Our current topic is the presentation of the research Russian misinformation in the information field of Bulgaria, Ukrainian dimension, and our speakers are Ihor Karpechenko, Associate Expert at the International Center for Policy Studies, and Oleksandr Baron, Editor-in-Chief of the Bulgarian-language online media Bessarabia Front. Good afternoon. So we can start with the presentation, and Igor, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we would like to present very important topic, which is related to Russia misinformation in the Bulgarian media environment. Last year we thought about the possibility of having such a study, and nowadays we're able to complete it. And how are we related to Bulgaria? First of all, we would like to understand that there is a large Bulgarian diaspora in Ukraine that has around 300,000 persons, and there is close connection between Bulgaria and Odesa region, where most Bulgarians live. After the full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine, this topic has become even more important. And before 2022, we had bilateral relations with the Republic of Bulgaria, but I think that we didn't pay enough attention to that. But after 2022, everything has changed, and we can see the prospects not only in providing military support to Ukraine, but also in other issues, including economy. And then we look at the media environment in Bulgaria, and we can see that the picture is different there because of the Russian propaganda in the Bulgarian media environment. That's why we decided to conduct this survey. We have prepared a presentation, and now we would like to show you our results. And at the beginning of 2022, there was the Globsec survey, and we can see that in Bulgaria and in Hungary, we see the smallest number of people who blamed Russia for that. We can talk about historical relation, saying that Bulgarians have some historical memory related to liberation of the country. But if we look closer at the population, we can see that such memory is only kept by elderly people. But as for young people, they are pro-European, democratic, and they are not that aware of the country's history. But when it comes to this survey, we can say that this has the consequences of Russia's propaganda, instilling certain thoughts in minds of ordinary Bulgarians. And we analyzed the media environment and Russia's propaganda in 2023. We can say that this Russian propaganda has like 3 targets in Bulgaria. In particular, to stop military and technical cooperation between Ukraine and Bulgaria, for Ukraine not to be able to buy ammunition from Bulgaria, to stop the enemy and to liberate its territories. There were some other issues related to raising negative attitude of Bulgarians to Ukrainian refugees. And when it comes to this set of issues, we can say that in the Bulgarian media landscape, through online media, through TV channels, and different agencies that Russia has in Bulgaria, they communicated different type of cliches, saying that, for example, the Ukrainians could take their children to Bulgarian kindergartens and nurseries, and Bulgarians cannot find some free places in kindergartens for their children, that Ukrainians pack wrongly or incorrectly, and there is no response of the Bulgarian law enforcement bodies to this. And sometimes it looks ridiculous, but somehow it is rather efficient. Other issues included the blockade of Ukrainian export. And we can see also some cliches there. And politicians say that Ukrainian export should be stopped, but we can see some other messages about poisoned Ukrainian grain, that the bread cooked out of Ukrainian grain is also bad and bad for health. And of course, we understand the source of this misinformation. The next set of issues, this is the development of negative attitude to our military leadership, and also the attempt to justify the armed aggression against Ukraine. So this is like some messages about Nazis, fascists, and some other things that we don't have in Ukraine. How Russia propaganda manages to achieve its goals in the media landscape of Bulgaria? For the last 10 years, the Russians have developed quite a powerful media landscape, including online media, helping them to cover millions of people and to promote their misinformation messages. And not all ordinary people are able to filter this information. We have analyzed those media that are involved in propaganda and misinformation. We were horrified because the monthly coverage is 6.5 million. When we analyze the media structures promoting Russia's messages, we found out that there is the three-layer structures of online media that cover different tasks and have different functions. And you can see now on this slide our attempt to present the structure, but this is only a small part of the structure of these media. There are websites, online media of the higher level. They are fully fledged media. They have around 10-15 such websites that are fully fledged media. Their information about their editors is published. These are mainly Bulgarian citizens and local analysts. They interview people, they publish news and analytical materials. And there are some requirements in terms of SMM and SEO, like unique texts, the links, the presence in social media. And this is the main flagship of these activities. But not all Bulgarian online media publish propaganda and 100% affiliated with the Russian units and misinformation. Because we understand some issues that they have, like financial issues, but there are some websites as Epicenters, Blitz, and Pogled.info. These are websites that have millions of readers. For example, if we look at Blitz, this is a flagship. that has a well-developed network supporting promotion of this website to disseminate information in media, including social media, and this is used to start information campaigns, in particular against Ukraine, because we analyzed the Ukrainian dimension. There are some other units, like aggregators. They not only use information from Russia's media, they use also live media, and they provide the combination of these information flows. And for ordinary people, it is very difficult to differentiate between lies and truth. There are also websites, we call them satellite websites. These are not fully fledged websites, but these are copies of the main websites of the higher level. We found around 100, 150 different such websites, those copies, they have identical structure, and they don't publish unique materials, but they just copy information from the websites of the higher level, and also help to disseminate information in media landscape. When it comes to the higher level, the task is to directly affect the audience, extended coverage for dissemination of propaganda. And such satellite websites are used to block some social media. And if there is the Facebook team sees that there is some propaganda on the websites of the higher level, they are blocked, but the satellite websites continue disseminating this information in media landscape. In our research, we have several practical examples of how propaganda works with the timeline, involved media, and links. For example, a radioactive cloud, as we call it. In April and May, Russia actively promoted in the international media landscape such messages as the Ukraine should not be provided with modern military weapons, equipment, projectiles, long-range missiles, and also uranium projectiles and ammunition. In July, the UK informed that it was ready to supply Challenge 2, and in AIAE they proved that this is safe for the population, that there is no radiative insecurity. But in Russia, they decided to stop the process, and they started the campaign to discredit Ukraine, saying that somewhere near Khmelnytsky they struck the warehouse with the ammunition with depleted uranium, and that now there is a radioactive cloud heading to Europe through Poland. And last year and the year before, in the Western countries, they took some measures to limit the impact of the Russian media, like Russia Today or Sputnik. That's why Russia decided to use its Bulgarian structure to promote such messages. And you can see this campaign on the on this screen. There were two waves. The first started on the 15th of May and was on the eve of the Ramstein meeting that happened, if I'm not mistaken, in 20th of May. And so they used their affiliate structures just to disseminate information that the warehouse was struck in Ukraine near Khmelnytsky with depleted uranium ammunition, and that was the cause of the radioactive cloud heading to the EU. And they involved all units and tools they had in Bulgaria, because some political powers also promoted such messages, and I will provide details a bit later. You can see the start of this campaign in the Bulgarian media landscape from direct news, then Pogled Info, Epicenter, and then satellite websites were involved in this campaign, and they disseminated like 100-200 materials dedicated to this topic. And such information storming led to the fact that the Bulgarian mass media that were not involved in propaganda started publishing this information as well, and people started just questioning the situation, but that was open misinformation. And you can see as social media just also publish this information. And these links, these posts helped to expand the coverage. We try to understand the source of this misinformation, and it's clear that it started with the Russian media, but then to strengthen the information campaign, Patrushev just stated that the radioactive cloud was hitting Europe. And to make it plausible, they also just referred to the Maria Skłodowska-Curie University in Poland that take probes from the air of Poland, including to analyze radioactive background. And Russian media just showed that there was the increased element of bismuth that can found in the air as the result of the uranium disintegration, but this is through natural processes. But according to the university, in March this year, last year, the situation was the same. And now you can see the diagram as of 2021. And we can see that this level of bismuth, P2, was in several times more compared to May 2023. But people will not check this information. That's why they believed the information that we can see in the media landscape of Bulgaria. The second part of our survey research was related not to media, but with the influencers among Bulgarian politicians. We analyzed the situation and we found out that the information campaign was supported through MPs of the Parliament of Bulgaria, and that is the party and one of the parties with the leader Konstantin Konstantinov that was announced the person non grata in Ukraine. But if we analyze all their speeches in the parliament, the information they provide is correlated with the Russia's propaganda and misinformation. And you can see an example here, some of the extracts of the statements of the Vydradzhanya deputy group in the parliament. This is how they use their status to extend propaganda. Every year there is a governmental hour that they have in Bulgarian parliament, and they ask questions that just support propaganda. And when it comes to radioactive cloud, we can see in that it was mentioned in the statement of this political party, despite the fact that that was open propaganda. And if we analyze the timeline, the data, then we can see the correlation because it was also closer to the end of May. And I would also like to say that we've analyzed only two parts because we can also analyze the activities of the Russian embassy in Bulgaria, because they are no longer the diplomatic corps, but they are also one of the units to the part of the Russian propaganda, and this is the violation of the diplomatic status of the diplomats in Bulgaria and the Vienna Convention. But this is another topic. We have analyzed the media landscape in Russian propaganda, and we can see that Ukrainian Bulgarians residing in the Odesa region, they are also involved in this propaganda, because we can see in these information campaigns some statements of Vyzdradzhanya political party that are related to Ukrainian Bulgarians in Ukraine, that they are not allowed to learn their language, Bulgarian language, that Bulgarian schools are closed. And here I would like to speak about some positive things, because in the Ukrainian community there are some the cliches that were formed during previous decades. And Ukrainians think that all Bulgarians are pro-Russians and support Russia. But this is not the truth, because when it comes to counteracting Russian misinformation in Bulgaria, we have vivid examples when Ukrainian Bulgarians are involved in counteracting this propaganda. And I would like to give floor to Oleksandr Baron about their project that they have launched to fight Russia's propaganda. And they are rather successful in these activities, and because they managed actually to improve the situation in the Bulgarian media landscape. Thank you, Ihor, for this detailed analysis and for the presentation. Good afternoon once again. I'd like to make a step back and just to confirm what has been just said by Ihor about misinformation. I'm an ethnical Bulgarian, and the whole our team is comprised of Ukrainian Bulgarians, and we can see through this misinformation, and all of us try to fight it. And I remember back in 2014, when propaganda started using national question. And in 2014, they tried to focus on Bulgarian issues and tried to use it. So there is some part of truth there, but 95% of the information is false, and we can still see such messages in the media landscape of Bulgaria. In 2019, we made the presentation of the film of the Place of Strength at Anasantiv, and I was involved in filming of that a movie showing the life of Ukrainian Bulgarians. But we don't understand why the national Bulgarian channels are reluctant to show this film. And now it is more clear, because we can see a significant presence of Russian agents in Bulgaria. And they just do everything possible to prevent showing this film on Bulgarian TV channels, because there is a lot of truths which Russians don't like. And before the full-scale invasion, I was an ethno-photographer, and I took pictures to show our life here in Ukraine, how we organize our Bulgarian festivals and the other different events. And we have such celebrations and events in Bulgarian language, and that was the evidence that in Ukraine no one prevents us from learning our native language, and no one prevents us from speaking Bulgarian. But we can see new waves of messages about how Bulgarians are just taken from the streets in Bulgaria, and people are sent to the front line, that we are forbidden to speak our native language, etc. And after the 24th of February, we also saw certain vacuum in Bulgaria. When our mass media started using Ukrainian language, those media that use to write in Russian, and those journalists who want to understand the real situation are in information vacuum because they don't understand Ukrainian language. And they just have no sources to take information from. And I would like to thank my partner, Gennady Vorobyov. This is the founder of NetPeak Bulgaria, who offered to create the media project Bessarabia Front. And since we launched this project last year, and for the last year and a half, we have been selecting news about the situation on the front line in Ukraine, about the general situation in Ukraine, about the life of Ukrainian Bulgarians. And we also have materials about why Bulgarians defend Ukraine on the front line. We explain to Bulgarians in Bulgaria why we just defend Ukraine. And we also translate these materials into Bulgarian because we can see narratives in Bulgaria why Bulgarians fight in Ukraine and that this is not our homeland, but we explain that this is our homeland and our ancestors are buried here. And this is the 9th generation of Bulgarians live here. Ukraine is our state. We cannot remain aside of this war. And Ukrainian Bulgarians are a bridge between Bulgaria and Ukraine. And we can see a significant impact. We continue our information fight. And last year, in the Bulgarian parliament, the mentioned Kostadin Kostadinov, mentioned name of Oleksandr Baron, Tatiana Staneva, and the Bessarabia Front as the evidence in quotation mark of us working with the state services of Ukraine and that we should not be trusted. And this was yet another attempt to discredit our mission, our explanations, and the evidence that we provide. At that time, a letter was sent to all state institutions for them to listen to us because we are not represented by that guy because he doesn't live here. We live here. We see the real situation. And Russian agents were really irritated with that. We continue our activities. We continue selecting and translating news. And we have a team of the Ukrainian Bulgarians who moved to Bulgaria long ago. They help us with the translation. And for this news to be also just published in Bulgarian mass media. Have you seen any attempts to use your media for Russian propaganda? Have you been contacted with some persons like Russian agents? No, I don't remember such cases. They were bot attacks. For example, in Facebook, our page is called Bessarabia Front 2.0 because the previous one was deleted by the Facebook team because of complaints about violation of different standards. And in Bulgaria, in Sofia, there was an IT company moderating Facebook. And we know a lot of examples that they supported Russia propaganda and Russian content because they even blocked those posts that had no photos of blood, dead people, and only like the cars with holes after shelling. But they blocked it, saying that that was the violation of their standards. And after several blockades, they just deleted our page, and we had to start from the scratch. And we can still feel this, but we stopped using some speech like about occupiers for people to be able to get information, like Bidemd, etc. Ihor, you've shown the websites with the Russian propaganda. Do you know when they were founded? Do you have such information? Some of them were opened in 2013, 2014, so that was made beforehand. And that was in parallel with the development of Russia Today and Sputnik. And I believe that this is a unique structure. I haven't seen anything like this in other countries. And why is it difficult to fight with such a structure? We discussed that with Oleksandr. This structure can be autonomous without external funding, because the websites with the million coverage, they also can use the different types of ads for clicks. They can also publish some ordered articles, and they also can get money even from Google for their ads. And they can earn by themselves. And they can work even without funding from abroad. And it is even difficult to see at once the connection between such websites and the Russian propaganda units. But if we dig deeper, we can see this relation, because we analyzed information campaigns, and we can clearly see that how the first websites publishes everything, and then the information automatically published on other websites. But we also had some cases when the satellite websites published information from the websites of the higher level even before this information had been published on this website. And we can see that the work is well organized there. The articles they publish on the website, are these journalist materials, or do they publish some expert's opinion? It depends on the website. When it comes to the higher level websites, they involve local Bulgarian experts, but these experts have a certain position, and they also publish news. When we analyzed from the point of view from SMM and SEO, we found the fact that the higher level websites interviewed the teachers from some Bulgarian universities. And those were naive teachers, or maybe not that naive. They published the links to this interview on the higher level websites, on the websites of their universities. And we understand that such websites are trusted by search engines. And when they publish links to the propaganda websites on the websites of university, the credibility is increased to those Russian propaganda websites. Have you tried to calculate how much money is used by the Russian Federation for this misinformation? It is difficult to say. This would be an interesting research, but it is very difficult to find the sources. We cannot see the funding flow from internally. Our colleagues from the Center of Humanitarian Sociological Research in Sofia, who had a big research last year to analyze the media space in Bulgaria, including propaganda, but they had the different perspective. They were interested in the European issues, Bulgarian issues, but even they were not able to understand the amount of money used, but they understand that these are significant funds taken into consideration, that the audience and the coverage is rather big, and that they can earn a lot from ads. And we can also speak about the cases when Western journalists receive 100,000 euro to publish a specific propaganda interview. And we can just imagine the amount of money Russia uses for propaganda, but they never have not been saving for a long time when it comes to propaganda. can you see a lot of doubtful pages or publications? In our research, this is not about like pages. This is more about groups. We found around 20 groups with the general coverage of 256,000 followers. And sometimes we can see that one administrator can manage several groups. And we have a version that these are hired people and who just publish content. But these are the high-level websites, Epicenter, Pogled.info, Blitz, etc., which are related to propaganda. You've made the research of Russia disinformation in the Bulgarian information environment. Are you planning to have similar research in other neighboring countries of Ukraine? There is an idea, and we have discussed it, this possibility with our colleagues in Moldova. Because when it comes to Eastern European countries who were related to were suspect. And I think that in Moldova and Bulgaria, Russia propaganda has achieved significant results, and we have something to analyze there. The situation, however, is gradually improving because country's leadership now understand what the consequences can be. As when it comes to Moldova, this is about Pridnestrovia and Gagauz, and they try to just deal with the propaganda. And that's what we would like to have such research in Moldova. We have discussed this possibility with our colleagues from there. Thank you, Ihor. Thank you, Oleksandr, for joining us today. Thank you for presenting this research. And this is the last briefing for today in the Media Center Ukraine Odesa. See you tomorrow.